is not the end all be all. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie. If you're new here, please make sure that you do like, comment, and subscribe. And welcome to From Me to You, a word that God has given me, and hopefully it encourages you in some way. You probably clicked on this video because you identify as someone who is a hopeless romantic. Okay, you like the romance, romantic gestures, love, companionship, but you're at a point, as am I, where you're kind of wondering if all these things that you desire will ever get to a point where you'll experience them, you know, in real life. And girl, you're not alone. There are some people who are like, you know, I've been single for like a few months and it's really hard. And I'm like, wow, try all your life, sister. Try all your life. Yeah, that's me. That's me. Hi, hello. 28, and I've never been in a exclusive or in a the hopeless romantic is starting to kind of ring a little too true. God has taken me on a journey where I am fully convicted that being single is such a blessing, right? And that's how I feel a good 95% of the time. But there is that 5% of the time where I do get into my feelings a little bit, where I'm like, Lord, am I still one of your children? And we're not just looking for anybody. If we were looking for just anybody, if we wanted just anybody, we would have had that. But we are women that, well, I'm speaking for myself, we're just not in the market of settling. It was around in December, where I was in that 5% feeling of, Lord, like, I was just feeling really discouraged about my singleness. How am I ever going to really find ideally what I'm looking for if I just continue to like stay here and like live here, and seeing how it'd be possible for me to even, you know, meet this, you know, ideal man that I have in my head. Not even because I'm conjuring up some out of touch reality man, but you know, you kind of know like where you live and you know just what you're looking for. And based on me living where I've been living for the past 20 years, he hasn't come around, not even close. So I'm like, Lord. While I was in the middle of my thoughts and just feeling very discouraged, I hear just as clear as day, is anything too hard for the Lord? And that just disrupted my whole thought pattern. It just brought me to a complete like halt. Like I had to put a pause on all the chaotic thoughts, all the negative thoughts that were running through my mind. And I was like, oh Lord, you're listening to me. Oh, hey. Hey, Lord. I wasn't praying to God or anything like that. I was just in my own head. I was in my own thoughts. But God is just so attentive to every single thought and to every single, you know, anxiety and pain and sadness, whatever emotion that we're feeling. God is always in tune with us. But that was a great reminder for me that no, nothing is too hard for the Lord, and I really need to operate in that, especially when it comes to this really, really big desire of my heart. Now, God could have stopped there and just left me with that encouragement, but he also used Numbers 13 to further help illustrate how he wants me to go from a hopeless romantic to a hopeful romantic. So please bring out your Bibles so that you can follow along with me. A little bit of context for Numbers chapter 13. This is where the Lord has instructed Moses to send men to spy out the land of Canaan. We're going to get into a couple of verses that had the same experience but two very different perspectives. We're going to see that some men had a very bad report of the land, while some other men had a very good report of the land. I got my Bible, and let's take a look at the bad report given by some of the men in Numbers 13, verse 31 and 33. And I have the New King James Bible. You see that? New King James. Hey. But the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. There we saw the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight." Now let's get into the good report found in Numbers 14, verses 7 to 9. And they, Joshua and Caleb, spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, "The land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their protection has departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear." And at this point, you may be thinking, Stephanie, what do these verses have to do with anything about being a hopeless romantic, being a hopeful romantic? What does it have to do with anything? But that is literally the coolest thing about the Bible to me, is that God can use literally anything, any story in the Bible to speak to your circumstance. You can read the same story 100 times and still get a fresh revelation. You can get something that applies to your situation. And that's just so, it's just so good to me. Based on what we've read in these verses, we can see that the men who gave the bad report were really focusing on what they saw. And what they saw were the giants that were living in Canaan. And they saw that as a big, big limitation. Versus Caleb and Joshua, they saw the same things as the other men. However, they were not going to put their faith into what they saw, but they were putting their faith and their trust into God. And I could really see what the Lord was trying to tell me based off of those verses. He doesn't want me to be like those men which were discouraged about what they saw, but to have the mindset and the mentality of Joshua and Caleb that knew it doesn't matter what my circumstance looks like, I serve a God who can do the impossible. And so how that resonates for me and for a lot of you watching is that, yes, our circumstance looks like I've been single for X amount of time, and I live in a city or a town where I feel like the longer I stay here, the more hopeless it will be. But God is saying, no, no, no. All of those external factors do not matter, because if God wants to bless you, he will. And nothing is going to stop God from giving you your blessing. It's not going to be your environment. It's not going to be, whatever the case. There are no limitations with God. That is what Caleb and Joshua believed in their heart. And that is what I believe helped them to not have that same mindset as the other men who gave that bad report of Canaan. God is saying, I know you don't see much hope in your situation or in your environment, but I need you to have faith in what I can do. And I know for some of us single sisters, God has been giving us like little breadcrumbs of encouragement when we need it, when we feel like, when we get into our feelings about, just wanting companionship, whether that's, marriage. I mean, of course, the goal is marriage here. But, we're not rushing. We want that to be the next step, of course. But we're taking things like one step at a time. We're dating with intention. God has never told me outright, yes, Stephanie, you're gonna be married, you're gonna have a husband. No. But when I do feel discouraged, he will give me moments like these where he really encourages me. That kind of, reassures my heart, like, okay, like, let me just be patient. And I did want to share a very personal story that is really near and dear to my heart. Every time I think about it, I'm like, God, you really did that for me. Obviously, since I am 28 and never had a boyfriend before, you can assume that I am very much a late bloomer when it comes to dating and all that things. And all that things. All the things of that nature, right? So I was 23 when I went on my very, very first date. Yes, 23. And when, that date happened, it was actually like a really good date. And, with that being my first experience, I think it kind of opened up Pandora's box a bit. And yeah, you start to like kind of crave more of that since you now experienced what it's like. It was something I was longing for such a long time. Like, just to be asked out on a date. You guys don't understand. And then when it finally happened, I was like, what? Like, who is she? That whole situation with the guy ended. It was nothing, girl. I was not dating with intention at the time. I was just, oh yeah, let's go on a date. I was talking to him for maybe like a month, right? And when that ended, I remember crying. I was crying because I was like, when's the next time I'm going to have this opportunity? If it took this long, it took till I was 23, till I had my first date, when is going to be the next time that I get to experience this? And, I started to fill myself with a lot of just negative talk. And, I was saying to myself, will I ever go out on a date again? So at the time, I used to watch One Church LA, like all the time. I believe it was a live stream. Yeah, it was a live stream that I was watching. And this was the same night that I'm like, woe is me. And the sermon was done by Pastor Stephanie Ike. So the sermon was done. Pastor Stephanie Ike finished her sermon, and it was time for the prayer. And mind you, the sermon had nothing to do with relationships. I don't remember what the sermon was about. I really want to find it because I believe it's on YouTube. I don't know how I'm gonna find it though. It's been years. Sorry, but just for context, like the sermon had nothing to do with relationships, right? Nothing like that. So now, as Pastor Stephanie Ike is going to pray, she says, I feel like there's someone either here or watching online who is asking God, will they ever date again? Will they ever go out on another date? I was like, hold on. A whole? I was like, huh? Why was that just what I was saying? Me, in my room, like an hour ago. Those exact words. Will I ever go out on another date? Will I ever have that experience? This had nothing to do with the sermon. Nothing to do with the sun. My mouth was on the floor. On the floor. I was like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. I was shocked. Then she said, the Lord wanted me to tell you that yes, you will. You will. She said, yes, you will. The Lord wanted me to tell you that you will have more dates. Like, you will go on more dates. And y'all, I don't know if this sounds like a made up story. but it's not. This is something that really happened, and I think about it from time to time, and it makes me cry. And I definitely cried when I heard it, because first of all, it's like, ain't no way God is going out of his way to want to give Pastor Stephanie Ike a word. And mind you, One Church LA is in LA, it's in Los Angeles. God used her to encourage me in that way. And it's like, it's something so I was over here crying to myself, like, will I ever go out on a date again? It's like, it seems so small. Like, there are bigger fish to fry. You know what I'm saying? But God wanted to encourage me, or to let me know that yes, you will go on more dates. Like, this is not the end all be all. Like, I know you waited. I need tissues. I'm just using my shirt for my tears. I can't. Oh. It's like, you know, when you waited that long, it just seems kind of like hopeless. It seems very discouraging. And it was very discouraging for me. And just as, you know, God spoke through Stephanie Ike and, you know, said, you know, you will have more dates. You will go on more dates. And lo and behold, I did go on many, many, many more dates after that. And that wasn't the end all be all for, you know, my dating experience, right? So that was, of course, in fact, very true. And God wanted to let me be encouraged by what he knew, by what he saw in the future. When God gives us these encouraging moments, we really, really have to hold onto them and continue to reflect on them when we get into our thoughts in our heads, and when things are looking hopeless, and when we're feeling really discouraged about, you know, our singleness. We have to remember all the encouragement that the Lord has given us, and, you know, really use that for fuel, right? It's so easy for us to be just like the men who gave a bad report of the land of Canaan. You know, it's really easy to feed into what we see, and it's really easy to be negative. But we have to really challenge ourselves to not put faith into our circumstance, but to put our faith in God. Much bigger than just God giving us what we want. It's really about, you know, this journey of our faith and our trust in him. Well, guys, that is it for today's From Me to You video, and I really hope that it was encouraging in some way. Please make sure that you do like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Oh yes, yeah, I remember what I have to say. Just for this last closing bit, I just want to apologize because in my last video, my last like faith, I think I titled it Faith Talk something. You know, I was saying how I wanted to do more of these type of videos, and it's been how long since I've done a video like this? 1 second. It's been 3 months. It's been 3 months since I've done a video like this, so I do want to apologize if you subscribed for these type of videos and you just haven't been seeing them in tandem with, like, you know, my weekly vlogs and things like that. So I do want to apologize, and it's not because like I don't want to do them. I have to overcome my own anxieties and limitations and inadequacies when it comes to filming these type of videos. So I do apologize, and please pray for me that I get over that so I can film more of these videos, because I do really want to push more of these videos out. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!